The AI should be able to transform or amplify human potential, where technology is able to serve as a force multiplier for inclusion, innovation, and national growth.
I think the way to go about is build all these gigawatt data centers, look at modularity and flexibility.
You can complicate simple things or you can simplify complicated things, right? So here I think we have to try.
You're giving me headlines today. You're watching W.Media Deep Dive, our exclusive podcast series where we take a closer look at the cloud and data center industry, as well as the connectivity ecosystem across South Asia and the Middle East. Today is our very special episode in the run-up to Mumbai CDC 2025. And joining us today to discuss a very special topic, that is what, where, why, and how strategies for making India an AI superpower. We're going to be discussing India's global domination plans when it comes to artificial intelligence. And joining us today are our special guests, Rajesh Garg, President and Group CIO, Yotta Data Services, Balakrishnan R, VP and Head, MEP Design, Larsen Toubro, Buildings and Factories IT, and Sandeep Dandekar, our dear friend and data center industry expert. Thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Pleasure being here.
Thanks, pleasure here.
All right, before we begin, I would like to take this moment to get you to tell us a little bit about your professional journey so far, and also a little bit about your organization, 2 minutes each.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Rajesh Garg. I am working as a president and group CIO at Yotta. It's been almost 5 years for me at Yotta, and Yotta is only like 5.5 years old company. So we are into the data center space. We are into the AI space very heavily now. In fact, the leader across Asia. I've got around 32.5 years of IT experience. Worked on almost every technology in my life. I have worked in very diversified industries, from IT services to IT product, to banking product, to an SI company, to a manufacturing textile company, which was my last one, and now in a data center company. So worked in various types of environment, various types of culture, worked in countries like Japan and US with various diversified cultures. At Yotta, I'm responsible for all operations, IT and non-IT, service delivery, corporate IT, and CISO function. So all data centers, all customers come into my portfolio.
Thank you. Bala, you want to go next?
Yeah. Good evening to all. Welcome to W.Media and a very interesting topic we are going to talk. I am an electrical engineer by background, and I have almost 38 years experience in the industry. I head the MEP Designs of Buildings and Factories IC in Larsen Toubro. So we do all the largest, tallest, and best projects the country can think of. Our organization does that. I've been with Larsen Toubro for last 30 years. This is my 30th year with Larsen Toubro, and I have had the MEP designs for all their projects across buildings, does the airports, public space, residential, factories, and recently, last 7 years, we have spearheaded the data center industry. So we do a lot of data center design jobs across the globe. We have gone abroad as well. We've built a lot in India and our own data centers. So my experience is on overall MEP, including electrical.
All right, saving the best for the last. Okay, not necessarily, but certainly. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Right. After the big two people, I feel so tiny, so timid introducing myself. With total experience of about 37 years, specifically talking about data centers, I've been in this industry for close to 15 years, a decade and a half, and I've actually seen it coming up, transitioning from the previous age kind of data centers and technology to what it is now. And looking ahead, it is transforming each day actually. So very interesting times, interesting turns that the whole thing is taking. Some anxiety, some excitement, a lot there, like any Bollywood movie actually in the industry right now.
Correct, absolutely correct.
So I believe a lot of the cause of anxiety goes because of AI, right?
It's disruptive. It's very disruptive.
Absolutely.
Let's
So,
now.
and the anxiety is because of a lot is in anticipation and lot of it is unknown. It needs to be seen of what actually it unfolds vis-a-vis the expectation and anticipation. So, that unknown creates a lot of excitement and anxiety both.
Perfect. Let's deep dive into all of these anxieties and hopefully come back with a little bit of sense of control and calm. Our very first segment is Vision for AI. Gentlemen, I'd like you to take me through what is your vision of an India empowered by artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is not going anywhere. So what can we do? How can we use it best to write or rewrite India's story so far and maybe create history in the process?
See, AI, I think, is catching up very fast across the globe. And in India, because of our population and the type of usages, I think it is leap bounding. Just one example, the chat GPT users, there were 100 million users within a month. WhatsApp took 46 months to reach 100 million users. So this is what AI is doing, and across sectors like hospitals, transportation, research, all organizations are going towards AI. So the amount of data which is being generated and to be processed, I think it's going leap ahead in India and across the world. In India, we have an advantage. I mean, this is what recently I've also read through a white paper. Most of the AI generation centers are available in India even for people outside this country. So that way, I think we are very well placed on AI exponential leap, and we might be the leaders in the world.
What about you, Rajesh? How do you envision an AI-empowered India?
See, basically, what I believe is that India is well positioned, very uniquely positioned for AI today to become a superpower. And what we have seen, like the global leader like NVIDIA, Mr. Jensen, who is the CEO of NVIDIA, having a very high focus towards India as a hub of AI. So my belief is that for an Indian empowered AI is basically the AI should be able to transform or amplify human potential, where technology is able to serve as a force multiplier for inclusion, innovation, and national growth. We have all the elements of this growth. We just needed sovereign and secure AI infrastructure from GPU to our trusted data ecosystems, which we are building now. We have been slightly lagging behind as when it comes to the global level. But I think what we have done, what we have seen in the last 2 years, I think we are uniquely positioned to become an AI hub. And this transformation has to be very, very ethical, explainable, and accountable. What we have seen. We have seen the data center growth earlier. Today it is the AI growth. So both are equally important. We have seen the data center growth in the last 5 years. We have seen the AI growth in the last 2 years. And next 5 years will be the game changer for Indians. So if we are able to do that, I think we will be able to add hundreds of billions to Indian GDP. We will be able to strengthen the AI governance, where every Indian is capable and connected. That's what I believe as for AI-empowered Indian nation.
Sandeep, tell us about India's global domination plans and how do we get there?
I think India, with its intrinsic strengths and possibly what strengths we have further developed and strengthened in the last maybe a decade or so, we stand a great opportunity to be a multiplier in this potential. We have all the talent, the diversity, name it. You have land, you have power to set up the infrastructure. We have the human talent to enable AI. We can possibly be one of your questions, possibly is going to be future. So preempting that, I can say that we can be an exporter of AI in multiple streams, and India must capitalize on that. Possibly, if there is an opportunity in the further course of the discussion, I'll explain to you what I mean by that. Uh, I think fundamentally what we have to see is AI definitely has a huge potential to transform lives, mostly towards the benefit. But we also have to be mindful that AI should not, we must not allow AI to become like a self-destructive move towards human race. And that's a very, very important thing. We all have to make sure that AI remains for human and it doesn't start self-eating humans. If not handled well, that can happen. And particularly for a country like India, where we have a very large population, much of it is lower skilled, maybe unskilled. Uh, if a wave of our population can, in a very short span of time, can get replaced by machines, we have a much larger issue on hand than what we are going to solve with the technology. So I think we have to be very mindful about that while we adopt AI in India. That's what I feel.
So, being mindful, cautious optimism, that's going to be the road that we ought to take. But, gentlemen, now I'm curious about what kind of infrastructure do we need to build to keep up with this ever evolving, this extremely dynamic landscape where AI is changing things every single day. So, what kind of infrastructure are we looking at? One of you mentioned Jensen Wang. NVIDIA is dreaming about building a 600 kilowatt rack in the future. If we are looking at that kind of a future, what kind of infrastructure should we build in India?
So basically, see, we are looking at infrastructure which has to highly perform, very low latency. It is actually has to be low, ultra latency infrastructure, so that you have your models running very fast. The inferencing becomes very fast. Your training becomes very fast. Power density is going to be a very critical factor here because a normal CPU rack today takes only 6 to 7 kVA power. However, a GPU rack, which is what you need for your infrastructure, is actually 60 to 70 kVA power. So you're talking about at least 10 to 12 times, 12x of what is needed in normal CPU rack. And then the cooling requirements, your air liquid cooled racks, no more the air cooled racks may serve the purpose. And then see the expertise, the talent. If Mr. Trump keeps on doing all these tantrums, our main talent remains within India. So we have now 100,000 engineers, AI engineers coming out of colleges within India every year, which is a big thing. So we have got talent, we have got the infrastructure, we have got the government supporting this type of infrastructure and the policy decisions. And then you need the skills and expertise to develop this infrastructure so that your AI runs very fast. That's what you need for your AI infrastructure today.
See, I think the infrastructure presently, yes, there is. I'll just give you one example. Right now, we are having only the 2% of the data centers across the world. Presently, US has about 5,000 data centers. We are at 150. So but we are going forward very using AI, leap on energy usage. He mentioned about the latency. I think that is one very important point when we build data centers. Now, how our landing points and how this latency is overcome, that is going to be the key infrastructure required to develop more data centers. The way we are looking at using AI in all the sectors, right from education, hospital, transport, personal uses. Personal, you see the amount of OTT and other things. The demand, as you said, that 600 kilowatt per rack is going to come faster than we thought. Okay, so we need a lot of power, the infrastructure to transmit this, because we don't have patience. Let us be very clear. We want everything on the click of the button. So that's why latency is important. It is need of the day. So this sort of infrastructure has to be developed. I think there should be enough parks created. I think I was in few events. All governments are eager to do it. And they're all announcing 1,000 acres with first making the power available for the data centers in terms of 4 gigawatt, 3 gigawatt, each government is thinking. So that is what we'll move forward and make this AI workable in this country. So a lot of work is going on from the government side, from the user sides, from the builder sides. Everybody is working towards it. I think it'll happen very fast. And this infrastructure is needed, definitely, to make AI work.
Sandeep, take us through a sobering reality check. Tell us what we really need and how can we actually get there.
Yeah, I think both of them have made most of the points. I'll try to fill whatever maybe little spaces left. In my opinion, what we need is it's like a human body where you have very capable organs which are in place to perform different duties. And you need a very capable nervous system, which will ultimately translate that into an output, right? Uh, so I think all our enablements, all our facilities, they really need to be integrated and upscaled to become like a very, very highly capable nervous system, healthy nervous system, which means there is passive, there is active. I call it concrete to cooling to cloud kind of 3CC. So you first is a building, then you do the MEP fit out, you bring the power, do the cooling, you establish a cloud, and that is how you deliver AI, which will then go out to empower your refrigerators at home and traffic lights at road and operation theaters in the hospitals, everything. So I think nervous system has to be very, very capable and robust with very little latency, extremely high reliability quotient. That's important, which means uh, I think both of you have covered. We need fiber, we need telecom fiber, of course, power, renewable power, efficient cooling, sustainability measures. Because if a rack, which used to be like 5, 7 kilowatts few years ago, is already 30, 40, 60 now, and God knows where it is going to go, maybe 200, 150, we don't even know, right? So
Yeah.
if that has to be sustainable, we can't forget that ultimately data centers are there if Earth is there. We can't get into a race of making so complex and so technology feeding data centers that ultimately they will eat up the Earth. So that's a big challenge, because if your rack is going to be 200 kilowatt rack, and then to make a sustainable data center is not going to be easy. I think that's a challenge for all of us together.
All right, gentlemen. Now I want to pick your mind about the kind of data centers that are required for AI, because we're hearing all of these terms. And forgive me if I come across as a little ignorant. I don't have an engineering background. I'm a journalist. But we're hearing these terms: AI training versus inference. Then there are AI factories. Then there are gigawatt scale data centers. Can you help me cut through the noise and actually understand what we need, why we need it, and where do we need to deploy it to make India's dreams of becoming an AI empowered nation come true?
See, Deborah, this is a three-step process when it comes to AI. For example, from training to inferencing and inferencing to the lower level work like designing and other things. So,
Right.
this technology obsolescence in case of GPUs, or if I say AI, is actually happening very fast. Every 6 to 8 months, NVIDIA is coming out with a new GPU. So you need to define your complete life cycle from inferencing, from training to inferencing, and then to the third level work, which is your designing, your render forms, and other related work. You are seeing the announcements. Some people are coming out with a 3 gigawatt data center. For example, Reliance announced 3 gigawatt data center in Jamnagar, and similarly other players as well. We need data centers. We need actually land readiness very fast. We need the supply chain of GPUs very fast. We need the implementation very fast, because by the time you implement, a new GPU comes up and you need additional power. So that's what is happening. The technology obsolescence is happening very fast, but one should be skilled and one should be ready to cope up with technological change, technological obsolescence to make this happen. So that's what is the noise basically. So from inferencing, from training to inferencing, or you can say your AI factories or gigawatt data center, because that's what you need. A normal data center power, if you can start calculating, and when you start comparing it with a giga for a GPU ready AI infrastructure data center, it is a complete sea change. The requirements are completely 10x to 15x today. And that's what you need to be ready with.
Yeah. So just to give a take from what he said, I think NVIDIA GPU, within that GPU, in terms of, they call it T-flops, from 22 to 24, they've changed it from 4,000 to 20,000, almost 5 times increase. This is what is called disruptive technology. Now we need to be mindful next 2 years what could happen. When we build data centers, we need to look at what is going to happen in the future. Something might be higher, sometimes 5 times this. So I think the way to go about is build all these gigawatt data centers, look at modularity and flexibility. When design comes up, you need to modify your designs or requirements, and it should be fit and play. So that is why modular way of construction and modular provisions for air conditioning and power and other facilities will be the way forward to take care of all this technology advancements.
Okay. Now I want to go back to Mr. Sandeep Dandekar. You mentioned that India can become an exporter of AI-ready digital infrastructure. Sandeep, what would that entail?
Multiple things. One is we can build on know-how, build on our experience of how to design data centers, how to build and execute, construction. We, I think, also have championed as a nation, as an industry, fairly well how to operate data centers, how to run them. Our maturity as an overall industry. I'm not talking about any particular organization, but as a country, we have upscaled really our maturity in the whole data center domain, whether it is right from design to construction to operation through the life cycle. So I think there is an opportunity for us to quickly step up and take the leadership in the world. And the good thing is there is a lot of scrambling happen in the world order now. And if we take an advantage of that, you can use the space and grow in that, right? So I think time is good for us to, while the vessel is being shaken, there are voids created and we must capitalize on that.
That sounds a bit like your villain era, Chaos's Ladder. Maybe those vibes now.
Yeah.
Okay. No, but I mean, both Yotta and L&T have considerable plans and ambitions related to what's going to happen outside the country. I don't know if it's okay to call it global domination plans, but I want you to take me through, those plans. How do you plan to use AI, and how do you plan to, export all of this know-how, this technology, this infrastructure outside? What are your international plans?
See, I can explain like today, like if I talk about Yotta, you are talking about Yotta. So our data center in Panvel, Navi Mumbai is world's second largest, Asia's largest tier 4 uptime certified. So when you start comparing with hyperscalers, people do take a look at these things. You are comparing with the best in the world, and we are in India. We have built a data center which is at a global level, which is in India. So that is the feeling of pride. Creating a sovereign cloud, that's what the need of the hour within India today. And creating such type of infrastructure at the global level also makes a big difference, because that's what many developing countries need, because they are not able to develop their own infrastructure. And if you are able to give them at scale, at the cost economics, I think that will serve a really good differentiator from an Indian cloud service provider to developing countries. That's what my take is. We have got the sovereign cloud infrastructure, we have got the AI cloud infrastructure, we have got the scale now. NVIDIA has got high focus. I think there is nothing stopping us to export this and give this skill and expertise, which is not available in many developing countries, from our side, from Indian side. That's what my belief is.
So we at L&T have all players like builders, users, and software developers. I think we have the full gamut, right from owning data centers, constructing data centers, and providing cloud services and doing software for big players. I cannot name them, but all the players, we do software development for their data centers to work. So with that thing developed from India, I think we go everywhere, and we are already started providing services. I think India has good brains, people with software and other things. They can be the best of best in the world. And we have gone abroad and taken a few exercises and implementing AI and AI-related softwares.
Before we move on to our next segment, let me quickly tell you a little bit about Mumbai Cloud and Data Center Convention and South Asia Awards that's going to take place on the 7th of November at Hotel Sahara Star, Mumbai. We will be returning with the 5th edition of Mumbai CDC, and the day-long event We'll bring together industry experts and thought leaders, including our special guest here today. To check out our agenda and register for Mumbai CDC, please visit our website, clouddatacenters.events. If you have any questions, feel free to write to our South Asia team at india@w.media. Let us now move on to our next segment, which is need for clarity and realistic goal setting. Sandeep, I want to come to you first. How do you think organizations need to change their approach at the very beginning, at the inception stage itself? How do you think we need to rethink or reevaluate or start thinking differently when it comes to conceptualizing AI infrastructure? What do you think we should do here in India?
I'm thinking a little while you're asking this question, and if I can again use metaphor, I most of the time like using metaphors because it makes it very easy for me to explain and for people, I think, to understand. When you have a newborn baby in the family, there's a lot of excitement. Everybody is in the seventh heaven, right? But very quickly, you have to realize that you have to look after the baby. You have to make it a good child, then a good youth, and ultimately you have to do a good human being and a good life lived out of that baby, right? So the euphoria is euphoria. I have to say we have to come from headline to lifeline to deadline kind of an approach now. So, so enough of that naive baby excitement in the family. Now we all know that baby is here, AI is here. We to a great extent know how AI is, how it is going to unfold. We have to get ready for phase 2 and make sure that we convert that baby into a good child and a good youth, which means we have to now start thinking about lifeline, the life cycle of design to execute and operate life cycle of data centers. India has succeeded phase 1, which means if you look at 2014, 15, from where we started this market and then it grew, from there to now, there was a lot of transition. And India is one of the countries I have seen through my global exposure who has magnificently succeeded in managing this transition. One of the strengths I think nature has given to us is we are intelligent. I mean, there's no, nobody should say that there is no flavor of racism or one country to the other country, but I'm just saying genetically, some genes have some benefit, some plus minus. So in my opinion, God has given us good intellect. God has given us ability to on the fly do a lot of realignment. If you really see how we live in Mumbai, we do so much of on the fly realignment because that's in our blood. And when any sector is as dynamic as this, I think this is going to be our winning streak because we are very quick learners. We take very little time to learn, and we can adjust our strategy on the fly very quick, better than possibly most of the other people can do. So I think these are our winning streaks, and we must capitalize on that. Anticipating what is going to happen in the market, preparing ourselves early in the state of readiness, I think is more important. Like both of you, Bala and sorry, I'm
Rajesh.
Rajesh. I'm sorry. I know you, Rajesh, but old man, sometimes
No.
I forget names. So both of you said exactly these things. I think early anticipation and early readiness of future, because even if we are now much clearer about what it is, there's still a lot of uncertainty. There is still a lot of things that we will know as it unfolds. So this anticipation and being able to quickly realign, I think, is going to be important. Sorry for the long answer.
No. Rajesh, what is Yotta doing differently when you're storyboarding it? I'm sorry, I'm using marketing and advertising terms here. Sorry. How are you, doing things differently at Yotta at the inception stage, Rajesh?
For us, it has been really good because we have been the early entry into this market. So 2.5 years with the NVIDIA agenda, but actually we are already 5-year-old in the AI market. When we started Yotta was actually born during the COVID times. And we had a real life problem where people were not able to use their graphics workstations, which were on premise. And at that time, like in 2020, we launched GPU as a service. So this was the early stage for us when we launched GPU as a service on our cloud as a remote VM accessible anywhere in the world. And that became a big hit. So for 3 years, we were continuing like this. And then 2 years back when Mr. Jensen came to India and then he offered NVIDIA agendas to us. So we said yes. Yes, we would like to enter into it. And I think that was a matter of chance. But sometimes certain things click just by matter of chance. It is a unique differentiation today, supporting of almost 10,000 GPUs for India, uh, developing all the skills and expertise, customized floors within the data centers, liquid cooled racks, high density power racks. So all those things are already there. And we have been able to create differentiation by selling AI services along with the GPUs, because that is what customer also need. So if you are able to sell your AI services along with GPUs, I think that is again a differentiator from the customer perspective. And you are also able to provide 24/7 managed services. Along with this, then actually it becomes a real winner, because today's CIO actually is looking towards a hassle-free, peaceful mind for him. When he outsources, when he moves his workload to a cloud, he believes that a data center who can give him 24/7 support, completely managed, is actually where he wants to go. And that's what is a very unique proposition from our side today, unlike many others where colo cloud is one priority, but we have got everything: colo cloud, cybersecurity applications, and combined with AI. I think this is going to be a big thing for us. This is what is playing an important role for us from the customer perspective.
How is L&T doing things differently?
See what we have done differently. So I'm coming from a design background and MEP. I always tell my people MEP means make everything possible. That's how this industry is.
A good one.
So, I mean, daily something comes. We need
Bala,
to.
do you have a royalty on this? I'm going to use this.
We are
I
going to
should
use
create
it.
a royalty. So every time, I mean, as you said, within 2 years, we are looking at 150 kilowatt, then you go towards 600 kilowatt. POE of proof of concept. We have worked for a 600 kilowatt as well. Okay, so this is what is going to happen. Having said that, what we are looking at whenever we design or anything, we know AI is coming. So we look at 30-70 proportion, designing or space planning or infrastructure planning. So at L&T, that step has been taken. And as we say, in one of our own building with this 30 megawatt, we have co-location, hyperscaler, and AI. That's the way we have done it. But future, it's going to be more. It's going to change into 80-20 probably. So the AI will be more. So we need to look at that sort of designs and implementation and flexibility to take this forward. That's how we look at it.
Well, given the limitless possibilities of AI, though, do you think there's a need for a more focused approach to identifying viable use cases, which then translate into, actually actionable proofs of concept, and then you can actually take the project forward? Because what we have learned is Gartner recently predicted that nearly 40% of agentic AI projects could face the axe by 2027. And, given all of this, when it comes to realistic goal setting, are we being realistic in our approach?
Yeah, I'll go with that. Generative AI is not going to go out. I mean, I know it's a prediction but we are using it in many applications, generative AI in designs and other things. Probably that will get matured and probably it will go in a different way. That is what I foresee. But there might be some advancements like different processing and other things might happen. But we are using generative AI effectively to even our tender documents comes with 2,000 pages and other things. So with that AI, generative AI, we are able to cover many risks, identify risk, eliminate it wherever it is risky. So all this is happening. I think that will stay for a longer time than 2027. But as there will be some other things coming up, probably that needs to be taken up as and when it comes. That's what I foresee.
Rajesh, what do you think about a more focused approach to identifying viable use cases?
See, Deborah, my view is that because today, AI investments are very huge. So when you are doing this investment, you need to have a clear-cut ROI, and clear-cut ROI will happen only when you have got very focused use cases, because there is a commercial value attached to it. Otherwise, you are in loss. So I believe that you need to have very well-defined use cases when it comes to AI, because when you're investing for a few years. And again, as I said, the technology obsolescence is happening very fast. So you need to be very, very cautious about these investments until and unless the use cases are clear. There is no point doing the investments. That is number one. Number two, you asked about the agentic AI. I think now is the time, basically, I believe that there has been a lot of confusion, over excitement and all, but it will move. Like it has been experimentation. Now it will actually move towards the standardization. People, more and more agentic AI use cases will be there. And once we have higher accountability of the use cases, I think this will be a success. So blended human intelligence along with your AI intelligence, I think that is the way forward for success. That's what my belief is.
I would say summarizing again, basically what both of them said and something that I said earlier, I think we have to keep it simple as much as possible. We don't have to be over ambitious. We don't have to make things complicated. Yes. You can complicate simple things or you can simplify complicated things, right? So here I think we have to try.
You're giving me headlines today.
So we have to try and simplify the life through complexities. When there is so more uncertainty, obviously there is more complexity likely. So we have to be very clear about what problem are we trying to solve, what value are we creating, exactly in which space is that space really required, where exactly human life we are going to power up or empower, and then try and keep things simple. As Gartner also said that there have been technology curves where it has gone like headless chicken in so many cases earlier, because it happens when there is a new wave. Everybody is over enthusiastic. Everybody wants to just do too much, want to be better than everybody else, and then it somewhere loses balance, or maybe momentum is too high, and it becomes like a headless chicken. So you can see this. This is a comment made by Gartners also. So they said, if you feel that, then no harm pausing a bit, taking stock of what's happening, what you're doing. No harm. Don't try to be in that temptation that you can't pause, you can't stop. Show that courage to stop, pause, ask questions, and then move forward again. So I think that is important. Trying to keep things simple, remaining objective, being very clear about what problem we are going to solve, where are we going to add value, and if we think that we need to correct our course, and if it can't be done on the fly, no harm taking a pause and then changing a direction. I think that's important. Because what Rajesh said is investments are so high that if you do it in the wrong direction, it's going to be a massive impact.
True, true. My next question is for Rajesh and Bala both. How difficult is it in your experience to acquire powered land to build these green projects? Because we're talking about gigawatt scale data centers now, and both of you are building all these big data centers, really ambitious projects. How easy or difficult is it to get this powered land, and what are some of the challenges you have encountered, and how have you overcome those challenges?
Deborah, finding land itself is a challenge because you need huge land. You are building up large data centers, so finding land itself is a challenge. And finding land with reliable, scalable, cost-effective power is actually a real challenge today in our country. But what I am seeing right now is that there is a lot of government initiative, government push for making basically the available power land ready space, which is basically the need of the hour, and government pushes there. For example, UP government. So Yogi ji is ensuring that the data center players who are coming over in UP, they get all these things at a much cost-effective rates, and they are giving it. So this is basically government pushes there. But a lot of regulatory challenges, a lot of infrastructure bottlenecks. In fact, in many cities, you don't get approvals in 6 months only for land. Leave about power and other things. Just acquiring a land itself is actually a 6-month project. But for example, for us, we being a part of Hirandani Group, I think this problem has been solved because Hirandani Group itself is a real estate builder. So the acquisition of land and acquisition of getting cost-effective power actually became slightly easier for us at Yotta. But these are two critical elements for building a data center and fast building a data center, because everybody today believes that a data center building should be ready within a year. It normally takes 2 to 3 years. We are building in 11 months. So, but because of the Hirandani's expertise. So that's what the differentiator is. If you can't do it, you will get new GPUs, you will require higher power, again you're gone. So you need to be ready very fast, but I think this is still a challenge. But I think government push, government policies, they're helping a lot. When government has announced last year that they are going to invest 10,000 crores for AI, I think building, getting readiness on these lands, power, and other things, I think this is going to be push from the Indian government itself, because they want India to be the real hub for AI.
Bala, what's your experience been like?
I think I agree with Rajesh, what he said. See, the problem in India presently, I'll tell you, but governments are trying to overcome the land availability, as he said, power availability, and the landing network connectivity to the data center place. These three are the major requirements. Having said that, the governments are coming up with data center parks. This is what I heard with some of the government officials when I went for some of the programs. They are thinking, all of them are thinking. On the power front, because the fossil fuel power is not, government also is thinking of renewable energy power. So that is some interesting thing that they are all thinking, all these governments, all state governments. So I think in future, the power availability will be made with more renewable sources. Okay. And all governments are pushing towards increasing this renewable power and making it available for all these data center parks. And when they create a park, I think the first infrastructure they should create is the power provisions. That's where it takes time. And next, the focus is on the approvals, single window approval, what they call. If that is made simpler and easier, because he told 11-month time, that's the demand everywhere. It's happening now. So if you don't get the power or this facility, then we cannot operate the data center on time. And operating it faster to the market, revenue is involved. So I think all this, if you put together and do it, probably we are there. But India has that ability.
I have a follow-up question though. Since you mentioned all these challenges with power, both of you, many data center operators are going in for their own captive renewable energy plants or their own power plants. I know Yotta has a tie-up with a power plant. A lot of others have PPA. Some of them have their own solar power fields. And the question still remains though, transmission is a bit of a challenge. And there have been talks of grid offsets. How realistic is this? Is this something that we're just like thinking about the big picture? On the ground, what are the realities?
Yeah, I think renewable power has a problem in the sense, I'll not say it's a problem. The losses are more, efficiency and other things. So that we need to take care of that when we do this renewable power. But having said that, there's a lot of technologies coming up. I'll tell you one new technology which is going to come and catch faster in the day. Mini nuclear reactors are going to power data centers. Your footprint is going to be very small.
Yes.
It is going to be generated on site because presently we cannot do everything on site, renewable energies. I think the future is going towards it. A lot of green energy technology is being developed. I think that will be the future to power all these data center parks.
Correct. And Bala, if I may add, to support this, we have to have a lot of regulatory support. A lot of conducive environment has to be created, because otherwise you have the technology, you have the appetite to do it, but you will practically be constrained and trapped on ground. You know?
Yeah, correct. That's why when nuclear is involved, you need to go to the BARC or ARB, REB approvals. So I think that's where the government also needs to help everybody to make it happen.
Yes, and I think to support or add one more aspect to the point that both of you made about government policies, it is in a way good that different states are, if I may use that word in the spirit, are competing with each other because they all want to attract more investments. So they are competing. But at the same time, then what happens for us, we being a recipient, we face too much of diversity, too much of difference in the policies and provisions, and from one state to the other. So that also to some extent creates a challenge. you really have to be very, very clear of what's possible in this state, what's not possible in that state because of the differences. So I think on the maturity cycle now, given where we have already reached in the data center space, India as a nation, and the big leap that we all have to take in the ocean of AI, I think the minimum effort wasted in all these areas is better for us to focus where it matters really. So I think that has to happen, right?
Yeah, just to add on to your point, very valid point. Recently there was some from IGBC and CIA. There's a data center committee which is representing to the government. I was just part of it, so I told them this uniform thing across the state should be available for the data center. This point I strongly made it. So I hope, that's the point you are making, and I think we all should make it happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
It goes back to what we said sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Make the complex or complicate the simple.
Yeah. So this I am putting this as a point whenever I get chances to meet them.
Right.
I'm so glad you brought up all of this because I want to take a deep dive into government policies in our next segment. Let's quickly move on to our next segment, finding solution. Mr. Dandekar, you mentioned the need for a pan-India policy when it comes to different states. Bala also referred to it. I was wondering if any of you had the chance to go through the draft national data center policy and what you make of it. Do you think it is attempting to address some of these concerns?
I think yes, but there has to be more dialogue with the industry. I'm not saying there is no dialogue, but it has to be much deeper engagement. And industry really together, irrespective of our organization. I mean, then we also have to come to that stage of maturity where we all represent the industry and not our organizations. That is when I think the best will come. There are attempts happening at different platforms. It may not be right for me to name them, but we all know that there are platforms where there is a lot of work happening with government. There is a joint representation or co-working with government as an industry. But I think that has to be stepped up because the smoother the policy, the more empowering the policy, that much more the speed of the domain to deliver. If India as a whole nation has to take that lead, then all the organizations put together as a domain have to really perform much better. And that can happen if our running ground is not full of thorns and stones, but it is running track. So I think that's very important. The collaboration has to definitely deepen and widen more with the government and our industry.
Rajesh, what do you want to see in the national data center policy?
So basically, I agree with Sandeep, what he is saying. I think we need more dialogues with the data center service providers, government, working on the policy. I think some initiative is there, but not a full-fledged 100%, I can say. So the contribution has to be two-sided so that we get a better policy. But still, like some of the points which are there in the policy, for example, tax exemptions up to 20 years for the eligible data centers, or it is offering the input tax credit on the GST for capital assets, because it is actually helping you to reduce the upfront capex burden, and because this is a capex intensive industry. And then he's also saying that single window clearance mechanism, which is very much needed, because when you're setting up data center parks and economic zones, I think you need single window clearance mechanism. Otherwise, the lead time to create a data center is very, very high. And then it is also emphasizing on the tier 2, tier 3 geographies, because that is again a need of the hour rather than only metros. I think they have done some initiative on this, but need better dialogue to have much more incentives. Because when you're talking about a data center space, data center industry, it's a capex intensive industry. Not everybody can create it. You need a lot of government incentives for the same.
And Rajesh, very important point you said, the penetration, that's very important, because particularly if we are talking about AI and in its full-blown capacity, or let's say in its incarnation, imagine 10 years down the line, you're driving a driverless car somewhere very far off from metro. Even there, your data latency, the quality of data transmission has to be very good, because the time available for decision making when it is about a driverless car is so little. Given the Indian driving conditions, it is even more complex, right? Because there is less predictability on the road, and therefore more important is data exchange for decision making of the car. So let's say 5,000 kilometers away from a city, And I like Deborah, if you remember Deborah, I say, we have seen those red letterboxes in our childhood everywhere. Possibly the days are going to be there that, like those letterboxes, maybe a little bigger in size, but we are going to see small data centers in the roundabouts and everywhere, because that is how the penetration will happen. So it has to literally go 2000 kilometers away from the metros also as early as possible, because until then we will keep scratching the surface.
Exactly,
I'm
absolutely.
glad you brought that up, and we'll delve into it in just a little bit. I want to get Bala's input on, the nature of the collaboration that is required between various stakeholders, because it's not just the data center owners and operators and the government. There are also power companies and several other stakeholders. So, who would you say needs to come together to make this policy actionable?
Yeah, I think the government is definitely there. Users, builders, and probably the government should think of having a separate data center, I would say officers or whatever it is, separately for data center. And probably they should look at forming a national data center document where all stakeholders issues are addressed in terms of land, what type it should be treated. I'll tell you, for example, parking is becoming a big issue when we build a data center. Data center is with less people, but they treat it as a normal building and say you'll have to give this much parking. Okay, so that's a big issue in every approval process. So all that needs to be addressed if you want a data center, which is really meant for a data center application where people are less, it's more machine driven and other things. And another thing we are facing problem is with the number of heights we can stack the DGs. So these sort of things all should be an uniform decision, and this should be spread across all states and made uniform. This is what should be done by the government and all stakeholders, as Sandeep mentioned. All stakeholders should be involved, small, big, everybody, to get a uniform and make this movement a bigger step in the country. And one thing he very importantly said, it should go to tier 2 cities and edge data centers should go to the villages. So then this problem of creating AI within this country will be going to great heights. That's what I feel.
One more thing, Rajesh and Bala, I would like to add. I don't know how to say it. I'll try to express. Uh, uh, should it be something like FSI banking for a developer? Because I'll tell you why, what happens. If there is FSI available, we all know that we don't prefer very tall data centers, right? Many times we are not able to use full FSI.
Full FSI in data center, yes.
And then the cost gets loaded on what we are building because the FSI is wasted. So if FSI banking can be done, we are talking about battery banking today. Why? Because when you produce, you don't have consumption. So you do a cache. Similarly, if we can have a banking of FSI, maybe within some geography, the builder, the developer, the landowner will not load that cost onto your data center. Today, that's also one thing.
I think these are the
Agreed.
policies.
Absolutely.
Policies, these are all required. We need to put it forward.
Perfect. Sandeep, I want to actually come back to you on the question of location. Is AI infrastructure location sensitive, or can it be planned and built in a manner that helps correct regional imbalances when it comes to digital transformation across the country? You have been speaking about this very passionately. So apart from just edge data centers, in general also there are a variety of different types of AI infrastructure. So what do you envision should be built and where?
Yeah, I think one is what it is statement and what it should be statement, right? A state, I would say. So at the moment, we don't have all the penetration of everything that it takes to build a data center and run it very far off. And that includes, I always say, when we talk about supply chain, often people think very myopically. They think about only physical equipment or physical supplies. But fiber is supply chain. Data being exchanged is supply chain. Having skilled manpower available very far off from metros is a supply chain. Human is also supply chain, because if I don't have human, I can't build or operate data centers. So all these facilitating chains, the streams that have to empower driving data center very far away from metros into practically every corner of India, is what is required. So that should be what it should be state. What it is state is there are gaps. There are still things that we don't have. And therefore, it is important that we accelerate that penetration. We covered that briefly. Bala spoke about it, Rajesh spoke about it. But I think whether it is fiber and including physical security, let's say you want to build a modular data center, which is not like a concrete building where you have physical security, you can have fence. Let's say a small data center, which is modular, you just take it and position it. If you don't feel physical security there, then how are you going to do it? So a lot of such things, including law and order, where we are very sure that my modular data center, if I place it somewhere, is not going to be vandalized, is going to be protected. That's also very important.
Rajesh, in fact, this location issue is something I've also wanted to discuss with you, because even in Mumbai, your data center is actually outside the city in Panvel, 15-20 kilometers outside the city. So you've already been exploring these areas which are metro adjacent, but not necessarily within those densely populated geographies. Even in Uttar Pradesh, I believe you're somewhere next to the Yamuna Expressway.
Basically, Greater Noida Knowledge Park 5. Yeah.
Right. So this whole idea of using AI infrastructure to correct regional imbalances, how do you foresee it? What is your blueprint for India?
See, first of all, let us talk about, like, you need a large space, not easily available within the metro. So, for example, for us, when we moved to Panvel, we needed 20-acre campus. So this 20-acre campus is not available within Mumbai anywhere. So that was need of the hour for us, that we wanted to create a data center park which is approximately 20-acre land, and that's where we moved to Panvel. In Noida, the same challenge we had, like we did not have this land, which is 20-acre, again 20-acre campus in Knowledge Park 5. You don't have anything around that. It's the only place. Sometimes it becomes disadvantageous also, because a CIO feels that he's going to a very remote place, very far off place. But if you are able to give, for example, if you are able to host, if you are hosting a hyperscaler today, hyperscaler needs peace of mind that for next 10 years, they don't see the scarcity of space. And that's actually a boon. So that's actually a boon to you, basically, if you are able to give that guarantee to a hyperscaler or to a customer that, yes, I can give you contiguous space for rack and availability of all these critical components, then this becomes a success. That is number one. Now, when we're talking about moving away from the metros, what matters basically? See, you need to have reliable power availability. You need low latency network when it comes to AI. You need skilled manpower, regulatory clarity. But with edge computing, AI inferencing nodes, and green energy corridors, I think we can do it. We can strategically build all these things, build AI clusters within the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Again, some government initiative, some government push, and the policy clarity or policy parity, things can happen. That's what my take is.
In fact, Rajesh, if I'm sorry.
Yeah, one word, just digital India to digitally balanced India, actually. So we just don't want to focus only on the metro cities, actually. We want to focus as India as a country, not only metro. So digital India is actually digitally balanced India. That is what we need. That's the need of the hour.
Yeah. I want to ask you your view about what I many times think. Sometimes you have to flip the binocular and you see a different picture, right? Today we talk about feeding the far location from metro, basically, right? It's again a supply chain, so data delivery. But imagine if you get very far away from metro, all what it takes. Then what about feeding the metros from remote location? Your capex will be so low, right? Your land availability will be so much more. Today, actually, if you see, building a data center takes lesser time than finding the right land, as you said some time back.
Actually, right? six months approval for land itself many times.
Exactly. So imagine if your far off locations are fully empowered and they're ready to receive data center project, you will feed metros from there instead of them being fed from metro, you see. So
absolutely. I agree with you, Sandeep.
Right.
Okay. Bala, do you want to weigh in on correcting regional imbalances? What do you envision? If you could build a data center outside of the metros, what are some of the emerging markets you would look at, to build AI infrastructure in a manner that can eventually lead to a truly empowered AI-ready India?
So I'll just quote an example. Recently, one hyperscaler declared in a place where data center has not been built of more than a gigawatt power. Okay, so they're anticipating there will be landing network coming very quickly with the support of government, and he is going to invest along with the government. Okay, so this is the thought process we should think. We have a big coastline across. We should get more landing stations in different areas.
True.
In the smaller cities and other things, I think that's where government or the private players should invest. Then you look at, because of our sea area, I think we can easily do it. If we can get that, I think India will become, as he said, uniform across, and we can go to different places. Some of the governments are thinking at places, tier 2 cities, developing big data center parks, allotting 1,000 acres of land, building the infrastructures, providing this network. I think if that happens across, I think we can go anywhere. And this is needed because these metros are getting power intensive. The power intensive is placed only at metros. Okay, so I think you should distribute it across the country. I think our power problem also will be solved, and we'll get enough power for the data centers. Looking forward the AI thing. Just to quote something from abroad, they build their data centers away from the city, in a plain area.
Dark area.
Dark
area,
data center. And their land is not a problem. They only make power available and connectivity. I think we should look at that, and probably we'll be there. And people have started looking at that. So,
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. That brings us to the end of our third and final segment. Before we go, gentlemen, 2 minutes each, please make your closing remarks.
So my closing remark, Deborah, will be that we may always say that AI infrastructure is still a location sensitive today. But I think we can, with smart planning, with renewable power availability, it can become a powerful tool to India's digitally balanced growth. That's what my belief is. So the next decade will see availability of AI computing, AI infrastructure, data center availability to people in India at much cost-effective rates, even in tier 2, tier 3 cities. That's what my belief is. And with government push, with government policy incentives, this will going to be more attractive henceforth. That's what I see. But a careful planning is much needed because it's a very capex intensive industry. Careful planning for use cases, which we have discussed, is a much needed thing at least today, because technology obsolescence is happening very fast and capex is very high in this industry. That's what is my view in a nutshell.
Nice.
Yeah. From my side, I think next 5 years, the AI data centers are going to grow. Infrastructure planning will accordingly be done. I think that's the belief I have. And India will be the leading point in this AI industry. This is what next 5 years will happen. This is what my belief.
I think both of them said it well. We have the potential. We have to make sure that we do the right things to convert that potential into actual success on ground. And that's the responsibility of all the organizations and leaders. Also, we have to remember that it's always when you are in the womb, you are safe if mom is safe. So we have to remember that data centers exist if nature exists, and AI is for human being, not against human being. So these two things we have to make sure we remember. We don't create AI to harm human being, but to empower human lives. And we don't do data centers in a manner that it hurts the Mother Earth, but it takes care of it. And I think then the landscape is enormous.
Perfect. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today. That brings us to the end of this podcast. Thank you, Rajesh Garg, President and Group CIO, Yotta Data Services, Balakrishnan R, VP and Head MEP Design, Larsen Toubro, and Sandeep Dandekar, Datacenter Industry Expert. Thank you so much for joining us, and I believe I will get to see all of you on 7th of November at Mumbai CDC. Please tell me you will all be there. Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
and thank you very much.
I dare not miss it.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the discussion as much as I loved moderating it. And we'll see you soon at Mumbai CDC. Thank you so much. Bye for now. That was an exciting discussion. But before we go, let me tell you quickly a little bit more about the Mumbai Cloud and Data Center Convention and South Asia Awards that's going to take place in Mumbai on the 7th of November. This day-long event will be held at Hotel Sahara Star, Mumbai. And we hope to bring together as many as 1,500 delegates, technology professionals, and industry leaders. These include C-level executives, architects, engineers, and consultants, key buyers, decision makers, data center owners, and operators from across South Asia. At Mumbai CDC, top industry experts and business leaders will make presentations, deliver keynote addresses, and participate in power-packed panel discussions, offering a carefully curated knowledge sharing and networking opportunity. To check out our agenda and register for Mumbai CDC, please visit our website, clouddatacenters.events. If you have any questions, feel free to write to our South Asia team at India@W.Media. That brings us to the close of this discussion, this episode of W.Media Deep Dive. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.